Hello there, Greta Schulz, author of To Sell Is Not to Sell and founder of Schulz Business. I want to talk to you today about storytelling. Storytelling is a great way to get your information across to either a strategic alliance, so they can help get you a referral, or to a client, or somebody who is a potential client, a prospect. Because when we think about stories or the ways we talk to people, when we tell stories and create pictures for people, it's much, much stronger than when we say we're really good at customer service. That just isn't as strong. So it's very important to make sure that when you're communicating with somebody, especially a strategic alliance or a customer that is willing to give you a referral, you want to share with them a story of something that you did that really helped your customer over and above. Something that maybe you did more than they asked, or they asked you for something and you went out of your way to get it done. Something you can share with somebody that you did to help, that they can then share with somebody else. It becomes a much more powerful referral than just, oh, I know these people that that sell copy machines and they're really good at service and they're there whenever you call them. Whatever. I mean, that doesn't sound like it's anything very special. And it may be special in your industry, but it's not going to be for somebody that doesn't see it that way. So it's very important to make sure that you tell stories. Now, I've told several stories along the way, and I want to give you a couple of little ones. I'm going to give you one that I've told a couple of times that I think is really helpful. One of the things, and I'll shorten this story a little bit, but the way sometimes people ask me about, or I hear them, when they have glasses on, I hear them talk about what a pain their glasses is. Well, I had LASIK surgery about 5 years ago. And when I went and spoke to the doctor about getting LASIK surgery, he said, Greta, you're a very good candidate, but you have a very thin cornea, layer on your cornea. It won't take away from you being a good candidate, but it will take you a little bit longer to heal, and the scarring will cause you some pain. I was like, it's the last thing I want to hear. Anyway, make a long story short, he did the surgery. He gave me some very powerful pain medication, and it said take every 4 hours for pain. So as soon as I got home, I took it every 4 hours around the clock to make sure I didn't get pain, because I don't like pain. Well, what happened was, after almost 2 days, I called him and said, oh my God, this is like stabbing daggers in my eyes. This hurts so much. He said, well, take the pain medication. I said, I have none left. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, I took it as soon as I left your office, every 4 hours. He said, Greta, you were still under the anesthesia. You had pain medication that was already in your eye. You didn't need that for 24 hours. I'm like, well, I didn't know. So anyway, I said, well, what do I do? He said, I'll call in more pain medication. He called me back about 5 minutes later. He said, we have a problem. Because the medication I gave you is considered a narcotic, they won't allow me to call it in. I said, oh my God, what are we going to do? I mean, it's not like I could have driven anywhere. He said, you know what? Don't worry about it. It's coming up to lunchtime. I am going to drive up to your Walgreens in the next town, and I am going to handwrite a script to give to them, give it about half an hour, and you can send your husband over to get it. I was like, oh my God, you're my hero. Now, the reason I tell that story is how many doctors are willing to do that. I don't know of any. From all the experience I've had with doctors, they are very wonderful in a lot of ways, but I've never heard anybody voluntarily do that. So the reason I tell the story is not just to let you know that he really helped me out, but to tell the story that if I meet anybody that is looking at LASIK surgery, that's tired of their glasses, that is thinking about it and is nervous, that's the story I tell them. I could say, well, the doctor I went to is really good with service. He really helps you out and he goes out of his way, which means nothing. But that story really helps. So that's what you want to do. You want to make sure you can tell stories. Now, the other reason that I like stories is because I'm a salesperson and I'm kind of ADD. And we work a lot better with stories than we do with long-term explanations. We remember things that way. So anyway, that's something you want to remember when it comes to telling stories. The other thing I will tell you is if you like the idea of learning through stories or helping through stories, if you don't have my book, probably a good time to get it. To sell is not to sell. You can get through Amazon, but we have a link down here that'll take you to Amazon and you can order it. But the reason I wrote the book the way I did was I wrote it in 10 chapters, but each chapter has little stories to tell, to teach the lessons. It's not about instruction. It's not an instructional book, because I don't know about you, I can't learn from an instructional book. But if you give me lots of 2-3 page stories, I can pick up tips on that and I can start using them. So if you learn that way and if you like it, if you don't have my book already, that's something I'd recommend you do. It's a quick read, they're fun stories, and you'll pick up a bunch of tips that way. Good selling.